Dr. Grant Patrick. The Redheads, Unforgettable Grandpa's Fairy Tales. Chapter 12. The Power of Unity. The atmosphere was charged with purpose as the Redheads returned to their heartwood tree, their faces set in determined expressions. Each Redhead still resonated with the magic they had received from the Dreaming Grove, feeling stronger, not just individually, but as a collective force. The journey had brought them closer, uniting them in a way no ordinary experience could. Liam gathered everyone in a circle beneath the ancient branches of the heartwood tree, where sunlight filtered down in beams, illuminating each of them in warm light. "Friends," he began, his voice carrying a tone of solemnity. "We've faced our fears and proven our strength. But the Lord of Shadows is out there, gathering his forces. We can't wait for him to strike. We need to take the initiative." A murmur of agreement ran through the group. They had all seen the devastation the Lord of Shadows could bring, and each of them was willing to do whatever it took to defend their home. "Liam's right," said Roisin, stepping forward. Her fiery red hair caught the sunlight, making her look like she was ablaze with passion and courage. "The Lord of Shadows won't stop until he gets what he wants. And if we're to protect the heartwood tree and the entire forest, we need to put everything we have into this." Aidan, whose fierce spirit had earned him the nickname Little Fire, added, "I say we use the heartwood tree's magic to form a protective barrier around the forest. If we focus all our energies, maybe we can create something the Lord of Shadows can't break through." The Redheads nodded, liking the sound of the idea. They all understood that their magical connection to their heartwood tree was their most powerful resource. "Forming a barrier is a good idea," said Niamh thoughtfully. "But we'll need more than just magic to hold him back. We need a way to outsmart him, to know his moves before he makes them." Declan, known for his resourcefulness, spoke up. "What if we send out scouts to keep an eye on his movements? If we can find out where he's hiding and what he's planning, it might give us an advantage." "Excellent idea," Liam agreed. "We'll need teams, one to work on the barrier and another to act as scouts. Those who are skilled in stealth and speed will join the scouting team, while the others will focus on strengthening the heartwood tree's protection." The Redheads divided themselves according to their strengths, with Aidan, Roisin, and Kieran taking the lead in forming the magical barrier, while Niamh, Declan, and Sean prepared to head out as scouts. Their determination was palpable, and the heartwood tree itself seemed to pulse with approval. Liam placed his hand on the heartwood tree's trunk, feeling its warmth and energy flow into him. "Heartwood, lend us your strength," he murmured. "We're your protectors, and we'll do everything we can to keep you safe." With their roles decided, the Redheads wasted no time getting to work. Those tasked with creating the barrier gathered in a ring around the heartwood tree, joining hands and focusing their energies. A soft hum filled the air as they chanted an ancient spell taught to them by the Council of Sages. Their voices blended harmoniously, and the ground began to vibrate with a gentle pulse. Slowly, a shimmering aura appeared, expanding outward from the heartwood tree and spreading like a protective shield across the forest. Aidan closed his eyes, concentrating on the flow of magic coursing through him. He could feel the connection between him, his friends, and the heartwood tree growing stronger, as if they were becoming one. "This is it," he whispered, a smile forming on his face. "We're creating something beautiful, a barrier of unity." Meanwhile, the scouting team slipped silently through the trees, their senses alert for any signs of the Lord of Shadows' presence. Niamh led the way, her sharp eyes scanning the undergrowth for hidden dangers. Declan followed close behind, moving with practiced stealth. Sean brought up the rear, his ears attuned to even the faintest sounds in the forest. After what felt like hours of searching, the scouts came to a sudden stop. Niamh motioned for them to crouch low, and they peered through the foliage. Ahead, in a darkened clearing, they spotted several of the Lord of Shadows' minions, twisted, shadowy creatures with eyes that glowed like embers. The creatures were huddled together, their voices low and raspy as they muttered among themselves. "Looks like they are planning something," Declan whispered. Sean nodded, his brow furrowing. "If we get closer, we might be able to hear what they are saying." Niamh, ever the careful one, shook her head. "We can't risk getting caught. We have what we need, confirmation that the Lord of Shadows' forces are on the move. Let's get back to the others and warn them." The scouts retraced their steps, moving quickly and quietly until they reached the heartwood tree once more. As they approached, they saw the shimmering barrier glowing brightly, a testament to the hard work of their friends. "Good news and bad news," Neve announced as they rejoined the others. "The Lord of Shadows minions are definitely gathering, but we don't know exactly when they'll strike." Liam's face grew serious. "Then we don't have much time. We need to finish this barrier and prepare ourselves for the fight." The Redheads worked tirelessly, each of them putting every ounce of their energy and focus into their tasks. The barrier continued to grow stronger, its light casting a serene glow across the forest. The heartwood tree seemed to respond to their efforts, its branches swaying as if in encouragement. As night fell, the Redheads gathered around the heartwood tree, exhausted but resolute. They knew the Lord of Shadows' forces would come soon, and they were ready to stand together to protect their home. In the darkness, a faint rustling broke the silence, followed by a sinister, mocking voice. "You think a flimsy barrier will stop me?" The Lord of Shadows stepped into view, his figure cloaked in darkness, his eyes gleaming with malice. The Redheads tensed, their hearts pounding as they faced their enemy. But none of them backed down. Liam stepped forward, his voice steady. "This forest is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have. You're not welcome here." The Lord of Shadows chuckled, his laughter echoing ominously. "Brave words, little Redhead. But bravery alone won't save you." The air crackled with tension as the Lord of Shadows raised his hands, summoning a dark energy that pulsed with malevolence. But before he could unleash his magic, the barrier around the heartwood tree flared brightly, repelling his attack and sending a shockwave of light through the forest. The Lord of Shadows recoiled, a look of surprise flashing across his face. What is this power?" Liam smiled, feeling the strength of his friends beside him. "It's the power of unity, something you'll never understand." The Lord of Shadows sneered, his expression twisted with rage. "This isn't over. I'll be back, and next time, you won't be so lucky." With that, he vanished into the shadows, leaving the Redheads standing together, victorious but cautious. They knew the Lord of Shadows was not defeated, he had merely been driven back. As the first rays of dawn broke through the trees, the Redheads shared a moment of quiet pride. They had stood together and protected their home. They had proven that the power of friendship and unity could repel even the darkest of threats. But deep down, they knew this was only the beginning. The Lord of Shadows would return, stronger and more determined. And when he did, they would be ready. Liam looked around at his friends, his heart swelling with gratitude. "We did it," he said softly. "But our journey isn't over. As long as the Lord of Shadows is out there, we have to stay vigilant." The Redheads nodded, their expressions resolute. They had forged a bond that could not be broken, and together, they would protect the heartwood tree and their forest, no matter what challenges lay ahead. With renewed purpose, they set to work once more, reinforcing their barrier and strengthening their defenses. The heartwood tree stood tall, its branches stretching out like protective arms around the forest. And as the Redheads worked, they knew that no matter how dark the days ahead might be, they would face them together, bound by the unbreakable ties of friendship and love.